There you go.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Laura Schifrin, Chairman of the Planning Board, and I'm calling this meeting to order of August 8th, 2022 at 6:32 p.m. I'd like a roll call vote, please.
Robert Therian here.
Carol Hoffs is here.
Laura Schifrin here. Along with me is Beth Faxon, our staff. And we do have, and Ian Lynn. Ian is also on via Zoom. Mike V is absent with notice at this point. I'd like everyone to stand, please, for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And as always, we thank our military for our service, both past and present, and pray for them to be safe. Chairman's additions, deletions to the agenda are unforeseen prior to 48 hours of this meeting, and there are none to my knowledge. Thank you, Beth. Have we received any further volunteer forms? Okay. 1.6 on the agenda is approval of minutes of June 27th and July 18th, 2022. If I may ask, I know that they came in late and well, June 27th came in this morning, but it's still same day, and July 18th was quite lengthy and took that long to get to us. If you are in agreement, I would ask that we move those two to the meeting of August 22nd.
I so move.
Oh, second.
Okay, unless you were ready. If either of you were ready, I am not, but
I haven't seen them, so.
Oh, I read them,
course.
but that's okay. That's okay.
was there anything to send over to Beth?
I didn't have any comments.
Okay, I know okay. Ian, were you, and Michael has also joined us.
Yes.
Yes, Mike Roscoe's present.
Yes, thank you, Michael. Are either of you ready to vote on the minutes that that's sent over to us by email?
Yes, I reviewed them. I can vote on them if we have enough people that are ready.
Ian, are you?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay. I've got a quorum ready. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of June 27th, 2022 and July 18th, 2022.
Here, so move.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any further discussion?
No.
I'm okay with it. I'll have a roll call vote, please. Ian?
Ortiz, yes.
Michael?
Mike Roscoe, yes.
Robert?
I abstain.
Okay.
Carol, yes. Carol
Okay.
Hoffs says yes.
And Laura Schifrin, yes. Work session 2.1. Discussion on 145-54.1 age restricted development bylaw, town council guidance. If you remember at the June meeting, the board actually voted to have me discuss this with seek council advice. And I did, along with Chaz, and the response is this, and I'm going to read it verbatim in an email that he sent me. I don't know if we'll be able to do this, but it says, see attached warrant article for adjustments to the age-restricted development bylaw. Following up on our discussion on Tuesday, I opted to draft it as a single article. It made sense because of the need to restructure all of the subsection C. However, I can still divide it into two separate articles if the planning board thinks it's best. It may actually be more confusing that way. Also see my annotation regarding the scope of the waiver provision. And I have not been able to get back to him, but that article is attached. And if it's okay with you, I'll make sure that this gets to everyone along with his suggestion, and we can put this on for August 22nd. Okay, but at least you have the report of me meeting with him and that he has responded. Okay, so that would be my report under 2.1. 2.2, discuss and review of the planning board fees and regulations per town administrator. 2.2. Yeah, I don't have it in mind.
It's the-
Do you want to read the letter from the town or the email from the town? The action item? Okay. So the action item that we have in the. I can read.
Oh,
this.
right there,
It's
number
record.
one. Yeah, number one is the only one that
Okay.
appears relevant.
This is from Eric, our town administrator. In reference to any action item that he would like. So he says, in addition to all department heads, I would appreciate it if all boards and commissions could review the fees within their purview to make sure that they are commensurate with the fees charged by other cities and towns for the same services. If there is a difference in the fees, I would appreciate it if folks could take the appropriate steps to update the town fees. Okay. I'll open that up to the board, please.
Okay, I went out to the neighboring towns to try to find their fees. And the only one I could find was, I think this is Groton, but they're for 2016. I went under Pepperell and I went to Ashby and I couldn't find their fees listed anywhere. I even did searches and this, I know this is Groton's fees for 2016, so I don't know how, but that's all I could find for neighboring towns. So I didn't know if you had a way of searching neighboring towns for their fees. Because I just went to the town website, because I found our fees.
Yeah.
I did find the Townsend fees.
I don't know why they would be a secret.
And so I went like the planning board website on each of those 3 towns, figure that they're close to us. And I even hit in the search box, fees, planning board fees, different things. And the only thing that popped up was Groton, but it was 2016. And so I don't, I don't know how good they are. And so that was as far as I got. So
Didn't we also have a document recommended fees?
We don't.
From what?
So I imagine, is there any way that you could call the planning board administrator? Would you be willing to do that? Needs to get some comparisons with them.
sure. Here you go.
I'll open it up to the board, but since we don't have any comparisons at this meeting, I would ask that we could, if we get any information before the 22nd, that we can bring it up again. And in the meantime, maybe we can find out what the or do we know what was behind this email?
I think we need to, as you said, make sure that our fees are comparable to other towns for the same services. And that's something that we just need to do by reaching out to other towns and making sort of a study, if you will, of what fees are for the same application. And like she tried to do in Groton and comparable towns.
Yeah, I just.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
just-
they'd have
yeah,
to
I
be
tried.
comparable.
I went to Ashby, Groton and Purple only because they're
Yeah,
like,
they're our region.
yeah, they're
Yeah,
kind of
very
adjacent to
similar.
us.
Can
and-
I make a suggestion
Mhm.
for the board to think about?
Mhm.
Many times I deal with this with all of my clients. And they're confronted with a very challenging problem. The cost in many communities to apply to a planning board or a zoning board. When they just want a feasibility hearing. So I think that I think I'd like to accommodate those people. So that they can get a preliminary review of the kinds of things that the board would be considering. And the likelihood of how favorable the board would be. And that information be useful to them in preparing a more formal plan, site plan or subdivision plan or whatever, that would best meet the objectives of the community and consequently may benefit in reducing continuances and a lot of other things that happen in these hearings. So I didn't know if this board would like to look at some kind of a minimal fee for preliminary review, where it's just an informal, it's not nothing will be approved or not. It's just an opinion of what that the applicants should be considering and to make it more viable for them.
So we've done that.
Oh, we do that now?
Well, we have done that, but I don't think we charge a fee, do we? Or do they have to fill out?
Well, we do offer a consulting meeting on site or in the office. That's available to everyone, developers and.
Right, so they don't
And
even
that's
need
not
a
a fee.
hearing or,
Correct, no fee for that.
There's no fee for
Because
Okay.
it's an initial
that's
comment.
great.
However, if you are doing a subdivision, you have the option of filing a preliminary subdivision, which does cost. There is a fee for that, but well.
That answers my question. I think it's, I was doing a good job with it.
Yep.
So $1,200 for preliminary.
I better look it up.
Okay.
But yeah, it's, and then the consulting fee.
It should be
Preliminary subdivision,
700.
okay.
Okay,
Okay, so then depending on the lot, you have to pay per lot as well.
Oh,
Oh,
per
per
lot.
lot is
100.
Okay,
Okay,
not quite that much, but yeah,
so when we did,
new construction site plan review as well.
so when we did the one that was like 3 lots, was that 300?
No, it's 750 plus the 3 lots. As it says, preliminary subdivision.
it's 700,
Oh, and then an
700.
additional.
and then
for
per
each
lot
lot.
is 100.
Okay.
So you pay
So
the
the
base, you pay the base 700, and then for each lot that you're gonna do, it's an additional $100 above the 700, okay.
Yeah.
So is there,
So that's how it is. And then.
Yeah.
if you didn't do the preliminary and you just went to the application, how much is that?
Is that the definitive subdivision?
Yeah.
That's $1,500, and then it's $300 per lot.
For definitive subdivision.
So they're not saving much money. Because what happens after they have the preliminary? Do they then have to pay again for the definitive?
I think it's a reduction. I think you barely
I don't know, it doesn't really specify here about a
And those are
reduction.
things we should have done as we're supporting. I,
Okay, so you're saying if they go through the preliminary and then they go for the definitive, then
It
they're
should be-
basically paying an additional,
yeah, almost the same
a
or
little
more.
bit more.
Yeah, and
did they gain anything by doing the preliminary for the dollars that they're spending
Right.
versus just going straight to
This
the,
is definitive.
for the definitive, I get it.
Mhm.
Because remember, each time, it's like,
And what does the preliminary do, what does that actually do for like a builder or somebody that's gonna?
Sometimes it's just in zoning, and it gives the developer an idea of so, yeah, so basically that's what, you know, we went through the preliminary.
Yeah.
for the one.
But they would get the same thing just by going straight to the,
No, that's a whole nother, there's
Oh,
a whole nother
thing.
set of regulations that need to be voted on. The board will vote on the definitive, all the waivers.
yeah,
but the
we're-
difference is only $500. I'm just thinking what makes sense. And, you know, it's continual and I still hear it that, you know, we're just not an easy town to work with.
Who says that?
People who have come before and people who want to do subdivisions.
Right,
And that's not really our goal. Our goal isn't to make it harder for them.
no,
We're supposed to help them through the process.
exactly.
And even with staff time involved, which there's a lot of staff time involved between Beth and Mike now, because we have land use coordinator and so many other people that get involved with giving their referrals. You know, if they're doing a 2 or 3 page referral, how many hours has that department head spent on drafting this 3 or 4 page letter?
Mm,
Because I saw one recently, and it really gets me thinking about, oh my God, you know, because I know what this is when you're researching something and then, well, you do too, I'm sure. When you're researching something and then you draft a report on what you researched, you want to be pretty accurate about what you're writing on this paper and signing your name to it. So that's time consuming,
mm,
which means, and at this point, we don't charge for that. You know, so it's like, there's a lot of tax dollars being spent on non-productive work if nothing happens.
mm.
You know what I mean? So just something to think about.
I have another question. One, I don't, looking at the Groton's fee schedule,
Yeah, I remember it's 2016. so
right,
I know.
they also add an upcharge for every unit. I can understand with a subdivision, but in a multifamily project, that really doesn't sound like appropriate.
How much is it?
I think,
Here, just see it.
it's,
Just remember
I
that
saw
with
it somewhere.
every unit, there's an inspection for the unit, so it isn't like,
So that would come from the building department and the building permit.
yeah, but that's not, oh, so there'd be another fee for each unit
From the building.
from the building division.
Okay. Okay, special permit. Special permits, $500 plus each new building lot or dwelling unit is $250 per unit. So I can understand the building. I can understand lots. But the units, well, we don't have that in our schedule anyway, but
No,
What we have, if I may, is for new construction site plan review, $1,200 base fee.
Hmm.
Doesn't
and
matter.
what about the consultants we
And that's
hire?
multifamily.
Those are paid for by the
Applicant.
applicant. Yes, and I was just gonna, now that you brought that up, number 18 on our definitive subdivision application, the board requires an initial consultant fee of $10,000. I just wondered if the board might want to consider.
like I was just
10,000?
gonna ask what the I was gonna ask what that $10,000 fee is for.
That is for
Okay.
peer review consulting.
Just like this one
Yeah.
here, special permit and multi-housing. Are you kidding me? $5,000 plus $135 per unit? But why?
So what's the $2,500 then that they pay for the peer review? Oh,
Oh, that's
For
separate.
the
that's,
preliminary?
yeah,
Yeah, that's what it pays, well,
No,
you
that's
remember-
separate.
that's separate.
it's separate.
Peer
from the
consultant
fee.
is separate.
It's separate, correct. So for the total preliminary subdivision, in the case that we just, in the board just reviewed, it was $3,500 for a 3-lot subdivision preliminary.
Okay, so the $10,000
It's for the definitive.
is the
Yeah.
peer consultant fee $10,000.
It says initial consulting fee for a definitive is $10,000. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not the peer consultant.
Well,
see,
it's
this
a
is where-
consulting fee, you would use
up
consultants for
to-
many different things.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But you have to collect this unless you waive
Ahead
it.
of time,
Yeah.
right.
Unless
Oh,
you
I,
waive it,
I
but-
see, I'm getting it. So this $2,500 is under the preliminary subdivision and the $10,000 is under the definitive
Mhm,
subdivision.
yeah.
So if say the builder came and did the preliminary and paid the $2,500, now he does the subdivision, he'd have to turn around and pay another $10,000 for a
Yeah.
consultant. fee?
Conceivably, and the consulting fee is not necessarily gonna be spent, it's money that the
Yeah,
town
yeah, yeah.
withholds.
Yeah, I remember.
So that if they need it, they use it, if they don't.
It goes back.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's a lot of money, but.
So
For a
but let me
consulting.
just ask, so what would be, so you send in the preliminary division plan, you pay for the consultant fee, because they look at the paperwork that you submitted. So now you decide to go ahead with the subdivision. So why couldn't you still use that same, what would be
Because
different,
the definitive subdivision is, it's a
More-
lot more
more in depth?
layers, yeah, it's
Okay.
designed.
It's,
Complete design, it's the build,
it's the build to design,
it's
yeah,
the stormwater,
Okay.
everything.
okay, all right.
So,
I get it.
couple of questions. I'm sorry, I'm just not up to speed on how this all works in township. So these fees that we're looking at, are they duplicated by the zoning board?
No.
They're not.
EDA has a different fee structure, it should be on there.
So they have a different fee schedule.
Here's this one, the zoning board, here's the zoning board, and
Right.
here's the schedule.
Okay, so. Now that our next thought,
See, here's
Is-
the-
what are our objectives as a community? Okay. One, do we cover all our costs and expenses? A. And B, are we advocates of affordable housing or not?
Well, and this is,
Well, I'm
has
just,
not to do if it's affordable or not.
I
This
know,
is any housing.
right, I know, so, I don't know. Well, the same question applies.
Yeah.
Right, so. Should we be looking at sort of a balanced fee schedule? So not to make housing so restrictive or expensive. As well as be sure that the town's compensated properly for the effort it puts into it.
Mhm.
That's,
That would be it in a nutshell.
If I may, Chair, Schiffern. And, to your question of do we cover our fees, that's a good question, and land use coordinator is looking at that. Basically, the revenue that is coming in from applications, administrative time on the application, so that's going on right now. And we're doing that in the office, at the staff level, but what, I think what we'd like is maybe one of the board members to go out and look at what other towns are doing, and just to see if Townsend is in the same, kind of affordability as other towns for permitting processes. And the permitting processes are not all the same for each town too,
right.
but I think that's the gist of what trying to get at.
Sorry, my head's got 3 questions going on at once. So. I'd like to ask. And historically, over the last 4 or 5 years. Has there been an excessive number of applicants for these kinds of things? In other words,
No,
no. So if that's the case, is there a concern that our fees are so outrageous that people don't even attempt to do stuff
In
here.
some cases,
Hmm?
in some cases,
Yeah,
I would believe that.
yeah. So, so in other words, because of our fee schedule, we may be less encouraging of the project development system as a community.
I would say that.
Hmm. I guess I would have to agree.
So what I'd like to do is, do a little, Carol, would you do that?
All the towns.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm leaving Wednesday. Okay. I'll see what if I can call.
Are you gonna be here October 22nd?
I'm just leaving Wednesday. I'll be back Saturday.
Okay.
I'm just going to the Cape for a few
Okay.
days. I'm not
Um,
gonna go long term, so before the next meeting, I should be able to call and see. I'll call the three, just those three.
Lunenburg is a really
Lunenburg, okay.
very close town and we are very similar.
I didn't go in
And
there. I
they
didn't go on.
they do have building going on.
Oh, yeah.
Unlike Townsend, they do have building going on. Pepperell has building going on.
Right.
What about Ashby? But I've been driving through Chelmsford, Dunstable, Westford. Everyone is building there.
Yeah, but I hate.
They have a lot of new construction going on. But the thing is, you know, we have a lot of open space in Townsend. We are not dense
No, we're not
at
there.
all. So,
But I don't want to be Chelmsford either. 'Cause
No.
They building on every piece of
Yeah, but
property that they can
the
find.
thing, the difference is that we don't have public sewer.
Right.
And we have, what? We have town water in certain areas,
Right,
okay?
limited time.
Limited town water. And no public sewer. So something like those communities, we don't have the capability of becoming them.
Hmm.
Okay, Pepperell now has some public sewer, they have for a number of years, and
Oh, do they?
Lunenburg does as well.
Oh.
Because they've hooked up to, I think Lunenburg is hooked up to Fitchburg. And, so they've been able to expand their housing, you know, a bit. But we've done nothing. The whole time I've been on planning board, we've done nothing.
If I may, that's a really good point. If you do reach out to other towns, maybe look in the master plan and find more comparable towns, and those would be towns without public sewage. That's huge.
Yeah, because I know Westwood doesn't have public sewage.
Really? Westwood?
No, it's all septic system, and half the town is on well water and the town's on.
Isn't
So
Groton
really
Center-
cooler then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because when I lived in Westwood, both my houses, I had two different houses, one when I was married, one when I got rid of the husband. I was on, private wells.
Okay, so just that might be a good
So,
comparison.
so there's a lot of, a lot of the property and has,
I have to pay attention to where I saw, I think it was off 110.
Lori, I know that, I believe it's like, how Groton and certain areas of Groton have access to Pepperell's. I think it's the same thing with Westford for certain areas. I don't think Dunstable has town sewer either. But they're not a non-MBTA, you know, going back to that as well too. They're one of the 13 communities in the whole state that aren't either MBTA communities or MBTA adjacent communities. Believe it or not, Pepperell's another one of them, but they have town sewer. And I know that that has always been a hindrance with things being built in town, is that sewage. And then on top of all the forest that we have in this town as well too, which will keep us from getting as, you know, dense and everything like that, like you mentioned.
Okay. Okay. Are we good with that? We'll have to come back to that at the next meeting.
Right.
Okay.
okay.
Thank you all for
I have
your
actually no idea
participation.
how to do this.
That's okay. That's
Okay, we're all learning. You learn every day.
Yes.
So under correspondence, 3.1, do you wanna, okay, we have Mike, but do you wanna notify Eric? Yeah. Okay. don't know. I was gonna bring up the policy, the town policy. But I probably should have done that under division 1.4. Or can I put it under something else? 1.4 was, actually, I could do it under 3.4, maybe. Under the town administrator email.
We can put it under 3.9.
Oh, I got confused with 3.5 and was-
You're talking about the foreign policy?
yeah,
Okay, yeah, 3.9.
oh, fine, okay. So, I don't have any report under MRPC. They are doing well with obtaining grants. Karen Chapman is still doing a great job for them. Very proud of her and everything that she's done. She's come a long way there. Do you have anything from the Massachusetts Regional Planning?
Yes, if I may, the board received
The
correspondence.
technical assistance.
Yeah, they received correspondence from MRPC about age-friendly, something called an age-friendly Massachusetts. And it's a technical assistance opportunity. And there is a letter here, if you want, I can read it directly. If you want to read it. It says a little about the children.
I can read. I think. Hearing this is dated July 26th from MRPC. The Massachusetts Regional Planning Commission, MRPC, has received funding from the Massachusetts Community Health and Healthy Aging Funds Program to provide technical assistance services to cities and towns of the Massachusetts region. MRPC is now offering technical assistance, guidance, community outreach, and support to communities that are interested in becoming designated age-friendly community. An age-friendly community is a place that offers increased accessibility and livability for people of all ages, especially older adults. It is MRPC's goal to provide communities like yours with the tools and resources they need to achieve this designation. The age-friendly initiative is consistent with the goals of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts Age-Friendly Action Massachusetts Action Plan and the Massachusetts Healthy Aging Collaborative, and is one of the primary best practices of Massachusetts Community Compact Program. Many communities have already taken steps towards age friendliness through participation in related programs and initiatives such as the Complete Streets and Community Compact programs and the many social programs and activities offered by local councils on aging and senior citizen centers. The designation is a way for your community to further express and solidify this commitment. During the COVID-19 pandemic, MRPC planners developed outreach and material and increased our knowledge and staff expertise on age-friendly principles. Now it is our goal to share this information with the cities and towns we serve. Our planners are available to work with representatives of your city or town through an established local working group to identify community-specific best practices and draft an age-friendly action plan. Technical assistance and guidance, including an action plan template draft, will be provided to the established working group by MRPC to facilitate the intended outcome of achieving an age-friendly designation for your community. We hope that all Massachusetts communities will take advantage of this opportunity and join more than 100 other Massachusetts cities and towns that are already designated or currently pursuing age and dementia-friendly designation. We are looking forward to hearing from you with any questions you may have and to schedule a follow-up meeting with your mayor, members of your board of selectmen, town administrator, council on aging, senior center director, and or community Development and Planning Department. That would be us. Please contact MRPC planner Jonathan Bose to learn how to get involved and schedule a follow-up meeting. It's from the Executive Director Glenn Eaton. Thoughts on this? I can start. This is great. This is really good because we are a community that has been active in a number of these facets already with the senior center and all the things they do for seniors with our Atwood Acres and Townsend Woods. So I would entertain a motion from the board that we write MRPC as a planning board and tell them that we are very interested in this and feel that we would be a great participant in this program. Would we also recommend to the Board of Selectmen? Yeah, from the planning board that we recommend to the Board of Selectmen that we move forward with attempting to get this designation. I think we would qualify. And I also,
And I'm not clear on the benefits of doing it.
it's another designation given by the state. And from what we have seen, we can also refer to our master plan. I think there's something in our master plan about age, especially where we're doing this age restricted zoning bylaw. That helps us get other grants.
I think we should explore it and see.
Okay.
Okay, I had read that and I wasn't quite sure what the benefit of it
Right,
was.
I
I
wasn't
wasn't really,
Well,
I
once you
wasn't
see
grasping
be
what,
designated as,
yeah, okay,
it's a designation from the state.
okay,
The more designations you have, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the more designations you have, the better you are at getting grants from the state. So when we go after grants, we need as many designations as we can get. And I really think that Townsend qualifies.
Yeah.
We make great strides in a lot of those things. Even the rail trail, it's got to qualify for some of that, you know? So there's nothing mentioned, nothing gained. It doesn't cost us anything.
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
no,
That's a recognition of
Okay.
your accomplishments.
Yeah.
That's great.
So is there a motion?
okay, make a motion to pursue what was the date of this?
Age friendly,
Age-friendly
designation.
Designation,
I second.
And would you add to that to recommend it to the Board of Selectmen
and also recommended to the Board of Selectmen
from the plan?
from the planning board.
Okay, is there a second?
I so move.
Okay, thank you. Any further discussion from the board? Hearing none.
Negative.
I'd like a roll call vote, please.
Ian Ortiz, yes.
Michael?
Sorry, yes, my mute wasn't working.
Robert?
Yes.
And Carol?
Yes.
And Laura Schifrin, yes. Thank you very much. Survey from MRPC regarding federal SS4A grant programs. Due August 9th.
Yeah. Well, I have good news for you. The Board of Selectmen already answered for, so I was happy to discover that today.
Okay, good.
They have responded and I'll just read you their response real
Okay.
briefly.
Okay.
This-
The Board of Selectmen's response?
Yes, they have responded. They must have addressed it in an earlier meeting.
And we got noticed.
We weren't noticed, but the town should obviously respond as one, so we're gonna have to go with
Okay.
what is written. So the town, I have the survey was filled out by the town administrator. And it's basically the questions are pretty brief. Does your entity have an existing action plan? This is called, I'm sorry, the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant. And the MRPC is working with all of its communities and trying to find out which each community would like to be involved as in a partnership to get this federal grant. And,
Okay.
so the town administrator filled this out for board of selectmen, and basically it said that we do not have an existing action plan that meets the requirements of this SS4A program. So the town does not, so basically the next question is no. Okay, so would your community wish to participate in an application with the Montechusett Planning MPO to develop a regional action plan? And to that, Townsend replied, yes.
Okay.
So that's really good news. There are different scenarios, that's all in your folder, so you can read through that at your leisure. But there are possible types of support that Townsend would be prepared to provide in-kind service or staff time for the match. So that's really good news. That means that we're well in support. So that's all done by the planning board. I'm sorry, by the Board of Selectmen. I
Okay.
didn't know that before I
Okay.
on the agenda. So that's good news.
Okay, so we'll note in our minutes that we support their participation in the Safe Streets for All grant program. 3.3 Climate Leaders Request for Information, MRPC.
The board received an email forwarded from Karen Chapman and RPC at the Planning Commission. And it is regarding, again, I'm sorry, the deadline has passed. This came in between meetings. But it says, first of all, I want to thank you all for partnering with the Green Communities team. As you know, we're a Green Communities.
Yeah.
And we had recently got a grant to help communities achieve their clean energy and climate goals. Your organizations do important work and provide much needed expertise. Some of you are probably aware of our Climate Leaders Initiative. A briefing was provided during a meeting with our regional energy planning assistant grantees. We are now soliciting public comment on our draft proposal, which is posted on the website, and that's in your packets online. And they were looking for a questionnaire form to be filled out. And we missed the deadline. I'm sorry about that, but that came in between meetings. So that's that. I don't know too much more about it, but I can follow up if anybody wants more information with Karen Chapman at Planning Commission.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Then, in my book. 3.5. Oh, no, excuse me, 3.4. Email from Eric Slagle, Town Administrator.
We went through that, the stuff that could be, I don't know, that we could run through.
Okay. 3.5, Table of Principal Use Regulations. Provided by Land Use Coordinator.
Yeah, and that's something that I know Mike has sent you
Yeah.
individually, and I know some of you should have comments. Thank you, and just wondering if, again, if anyone has any additional comments, ideas, thoughts, if they would forward those to Mike Crowley for a final. If he doesn't hear anything, I'll assume everything's fine. But if you have, appreciate the input.
By what date does that have to be?
Oh my goodness. I'll have to get back to you on that one. I apologize, but yeah, it probably wants to finalize it fairly soon.
I think I had sent him everything that I was gonna send.
Okay, all right, yeah. And
I don't think I
I
had
would
any
say-
additional, I didn't have any additional comments.
I know I'm going on vacation in a couple of weeks, so I would say probably before the meeting, but I'll reach out with something.
Okay. So that's on 3.5. If anybody has any feedback from Mike Crowley, if you could get that to him as soon as possible, that would be great. 3.6. Stormwater permit inspection reports, other related correspondence. There was a report in our portal on stormwater inspection.
Not this time. Nope, that was last meeting.
Oh,
There was nothing that came in this time.
okay,
Well, that. For stormwater.
all right. 3.7, a homeowner's guide to wetlands resource document provided by land use coordinator.
That was. It was emailed. I can see.
Yeah, it was emailed out, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes, I thought it was really well done. Yeah, I
Alright.
did.
I'll give them-
It's really well, done. I didn't have any comments, but I thought, oh, this is really good. This is like a really good, little.
if you have
cheat
no comments, it is really good.
sheet.
I believe that.
Yeah.
I have full confidence in you, Carol. I really do.
I thought, oh, this is
Reviewed and approved.
this is so.
Yeah,
this is
the
such a good-
Conservation Commission has already approved it.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh,
All right.
Yeah, I thought it was really.
So it's
well
ready for
done.
circulation to anybody and everybody.
Okay.
Who knew?
3.8, stormwater permit inspect, we did that. Why is that twice?
Oh, did I? Sorry. Duplicate there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do have it there, but I didn't catch that. Good catch.
Yeah, I did not notice that. No.
3.9, notices from Townsend and other towns.
There's quite a few,
Yeah.
and I didn't do a summary. If I could suggest you go to 310 first and then come back.
Oh, this
that's-
thing, no, there's no update.
No,
Um,
okay, so,
Um,
so that's.
I'm gonna have to get with Rachel, but she hasn't had any luck with any of the principals.
Oh,
But I believe when last time I sent her an email, which has been a while. I had asked her if that prohibited us from getting any kind of Safe Routes to School grant, and I'll double check with her. Okay. But that, she seemed to indicate that
It doesn't, but
that it doesn't, that,
oh, that's good.
so, but I'll double check with her on that, but yeah, she was still having just principals just not getting.
So
Setting
did
up
the bike rodeo go?
for what I guess, okay.
All right, well,
maybe they're all in vacation mode.
yeah, oh, yeah.
Well
deserved.
okay, so under 3.9, I wanted to review policy number 1-221, which is replacing, it didn't replace another policy. There was never a policy before. And I did send this to all of you to review, and that was the policy was regarding meeting decorum and order for all boards, commissions, authorities, and committees. I don't know if you got to read it. There's a lot of repetition in this, and what I'm confused about is, and something that I've never done before with board members anyway, and I learn every day. I learn something new every day. I find out what I've never done before, and I apologize for not doing it correctly.
Oh, don't feel bad.
I wouldn't have done better. that's for
No.
sure.
So I'm not,
I feel your pain on open space committee meetings for the chairperson.
Yeah,
So
so-
I feel your pain
so
because
here we go.
I screw up all the time.
Okay.
I always forget to do something.
Well-
Somebody has to remind me, oh, shit.
Apparently they had 2 readings on this, and I don't remember them doing this last June and adopting it in August, and of course I don't think I was a chair of anything, surprisingly,
You've avoided that.
at that time. So, except for maybe town properties, which I guess would count. But this, public members attending all remarks, members of the administrative staff and employees of the town hall observe the same rules of procedure and decorum applicable to members of the board while the presiding officer shall have the authority to preserve decorum in meetings as far as staff members and town employees are concerned, the town administrator also shall be responsible for the orderly conduct and decorum of all town employees. Any staff member or employees desiring to address the board shall be recognized by the chair, shall state the name and address for the record. It's in so many places here. I'm not understanding that. I understand it in a public hearing,
Hmm,
but once we start our meeting and we're the elected members and we have established staff that's paid for by the town, you're already hired. I'm not understanding I'm Laura Schifrin, 28 Barker Hill Road. Every time we start the meeting, or do I have to do each member at the start of the meeting, and then when I recognize them, they don't have to state their address? I understand the name,
I have
okay?
a hard time with this myself.
Okay, so
I would have a hard time with that
Right.
too.
I
okay,
can understand if you're gonna speak at a town meeting, right?
yeah,
Or
and
something
every
like
time you
that.
get up, you have to
Right.
say who you are
Or
and where you
if
live.
somebody from the audience.
Correct.
Right.
So I'm having a little bit of difficulty with this part of this policy, and I can't understand that it went through 2 readings. And I don't know. And I know that the people in doing the policy chaired meetings. So, I mean, the rest of the policy, I understand decorum. I understand you can't always talk for a half hour. I understand you have to be respectful. I think I have never had a problem with anybody in any of the meetings. I understand some people have, okay? And they're on YouTube. So I understand that, and I understand that that is very disrespectful, and that's not the kind of impression we want to make on people. So I am,
For the record, Laura.
what is your address?
For the record, I think the way we've been doing it has been very fair, very honest. I don't think there should be restrictions on people being concerned about where they live.
But this is the policy.
Well, it
this
is,
is- This is the town policy that's adopted.
well, it's not acceptable to me. I'm sorry. I'm just, I
I
think
can
that
see-
can be abused very easily.
I could see stating your address, like when you, like, when we have somebody here in the butter.
Yeah.
What a raise of the,
It's all in the
concerned
town
one way or
records
the other way.
anyway, who we are.
Then you need to state your address,
Yeah.
or like at town meeting, when you're doing those warrant articles, you get up and you say,
I'm okay,
Conflict of
I
interest.
personally, I'm okay with the public hearing. Okay, because you have people coming in, and you're gonna be listening to them and to the abutters and everything, so,
Yeah.
yeah, first shot around, you state who you are. I don't have a problem with saying where I live, because, I mean, I've been here long enough, you've been here long enough, everybody knows where your house is.
Well, no,
I don't-
but the point is. I don't want to be in a position because of something I say on this board. All right. Having other people opposed to what I say arrive at my house with a bunch of signs and making a scene. All right, that's coercion, that's.
I've really
pressure.
never seen that in Townsend. In my
I've
46
seen it in
years.
Hull, actually. And that has no business here. I think if somebody wants us off the board, that's another thing, okay? But some
I
of
don't
these,
know, what do we do now?
Propose an amendment, you draft your changes and we bring it to the board. Policies are living documents like bylaws.
You're right.
So if you see an error, I mean.
And plus this is the first time around for this policy as well. Okay, it
Where did
doesn't,
it come from?
it came from the Board of Selectmen because of an incident that happened.
It was circulated to the board before you were on it,
Yeah,
and it was, reviewed, comments were collected from.
I was not chairman.
Yeah,
Well, I don't think the township citizens of town were aware of the policy change.
Well, the thing is that I can't really say much about that because they did have a public, they did have a reading, and when they have this is the Board of Selectmen, when they have a reading, and I know they've had several readings on different policies, it is done in public session, and it's then on YouTube. It gives the date, June 2nd and August 31st. Okay, so it was there.
Well,
It
now
wasn't-
we
wasn't-
understand why
wasn't
they're hard
hidden.
time getting volunteers for this committee.
Yeah, well, that and the other reasons too, yes.
if you want to propose an amendment or that's up to you as an individual, or a board, I don't know. How you would do,
Okay,
you can propose an amendment if you want.
okay. I can work on this and get it back to you with what I think. Because I understand why they have done this to begin with. It doesn't mean that it can't be tweaked in the future as a policy. So if you would like, if the board would like me as chair, I will review this. I'll make my tweaks to it. I'll send it to the planning board members. And if you're in agreement with those changes, I will have it at the next meeting and we can make a motion to forward it to the Board of Selectmen. In the meantime, we do have to follow the policy.
I'm sorry.
In the meantime, we do have to follow the policy because it is the policy. Please,
And I think, yeah.
don't make it harder than it needs to be.
I'm sorry, Laura, I'm not trying to make it hard for you. I just, I'm opposed to this whole concept.
Well, if you want to get up at town meeting, you have to state your address,
I understand that.
okay?
All right.
And many of us get up at town meeting
Right.
and oppose what is
That's
being
the town-
discussed.
Let me ask
Yeah.
you something, Laura. I, as a citizen of Townsend, go to the town meeting, planning board's got an article in or a zoning change or whatever. I introduce myself and I put my 2 cents, in, okay? Not a problem, okay? But I'm not asking the town manager where he lives, right? I'm not asking the planning board members where they live. Okay, that's an audience participation. The public already knows everybody that's on a committee in this town.
Madam Chair, I
Yeah.
just wanted to make a suggestion. If you are asked to provide a private address, use this one. Because as a volunteer, a planning board, this is your address. If anyone asks you to give an address.
I want to reach me, they can reach me here.
Okay,
Thank you.
272 Main Street.
You're brilliant.
Sounds good.
Problem solved.
That takes care of that.
You're here as a volunteer, and we appreciate you.
Okay. I
Never
like-
expected that to come up tonight.
I like
Hi,
that.
folks.
Hi, Mike.
Mike.
Who else have we got? We got Dave from TCAM, Hartley, Mike. And are we, is Mike in?
Mike is coming in for executive session, and Eric has not responded yet, so I'm waiting.
Okay,
But if I may, make one suggestion that we forgot, I'm sorry, Madam Chair, but under work session 2.2, we're
Yeah.
supposed to be going through all of the regulations, all of the
2.2.
planning board regulations, and making, reading them verbatim, word for word, and.
where?
Oh.
What document?
Oh, besides the
regulations.
fees, it says fees and
And
regulations.
regulations,
So,
yeah, yeah.
so what are we supposed to be doing with the
Well,
regulations?
that's really kind of a free-form thing for the planning board to decide. You can start at the beginning of the planning board regulations on the first page in the code. Read through them, either I highly recommend you do it as a group. That's how the Conservation Commission does it.
Okay.
They take one regulation, read through it, talk about it, see if it makes
That
sense.
should be in our books, right?
Yeah.
Oh, they're in the books, the plans
Why
and
don't you-
regulations?
Yeah.
Why don't
Yeah,
you tell
okay.
us where to start, and we'll do it right now, and we'll get as far as we can before Eric gets on. Because that's something we can just do at every meeting,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Go through whatever, if we still agree with it, we move on, we don't.
Should be
Tell us
something
where it
called
is.
Rules and Regulations, chapter 175, planning board.
Thank you.
And, I have my book.
Oh, rules and regulations,
Mhm.
and I'll have that chapter. How about that?
So fast.
You just look through the tab,
Okay, it's got a tab.
it's got a tab. Okay.
Is everybody with us here? It is 175-1.
I have to go online to the code. but- Oh, actually, I do. I have it right here. So
So the code
find the starting spot.
is on the articles are all on this chapter 175 planning board. And the first page is the various articles 1 through 5. The second page is the Townsend Code, and then Article 1 begins. For the record, the last adoption was September 27th, 1999, effective 10/9/1999. Before my time on the planning board. Article 9?
New Article 1.
Yeah, Article 1.
Whatever you're reading. Okay.
Okay, Article
I'll
1.
write that down.
Yeah.
You get credit
So
for this.
171-1 title, this chapter is the consolidated rules and regulations of the Townsend Planning Board. Any objections to A?
No.
Just wanted to start a procedure here.
I love it.
B, this article of the document is known as the Introduction to the Consolidated Rules of the Townsend Planning Board and may be referenced as such or as Article 1 of the Consolidated Rules of the Townsend Planning Board. Are we good with that?
Yes.
Thank you. 175-2 purpose. This document comprises the collective rules and regulations of the Townsend Planning Board. This document is divided into several articles. Each article is a separate and distinct set of rules and regulations corresponding to a different aspect of the planning board's duties and typically falling under a different section of Massachusetts general laws. For example, Article 2 is the rules and regulations for subdivision control, falling under the state subdivision control law, Mass General Laws 41, C41, and whatever, and then 81K through 81GG. Article 3 is the rules and regulations for special permits, falling under Townsend zoning bylaw and State Zoning Act, Mass General Law 40A. Are we good with that?
Yes.
Unless
Yes.
we do something different as we go into it. This is just what it's supposed to be. And I imagine that is what our purpose is. Okay, B, the document is published as a collection for the convenience of the general public to the town of Townsend and the planning board, except where otherwise specified, each article is to be applied and interpreted separately. However, our other articles may be used as a guide interpretation and to identify policies. Are we good with B?
Yes.
175-3 amendments. Each amendment has its own rules for amendment. The rules of amendment will vary from article to article. Furthermore, the articles may be auxiliary sections, appendices or appendici, or other materials that are associated with the corresponding rules and regulations, but not a part of them. Examples of auxiliary materials include bibliographies, checklists, and optional forms. The rules for amending the auxiliary materials may be different from the rules for the primary material. There's a footnote. Editor's note. Former sections of 0400.00.00 numbering and 05.00.00 citations, which immediately followed the section, have been deleted as they no longer apply to the regulations as renumbered for inclusion in this code. Everybody good with these? These 2 pages were last changed in 2015. Okay, on to 175-3, Planning Board, 175-4. That was a page number I just read before this. So 175-4, definitions and abbreviations. The following definitions and abbreviations are used throughout these combined rules and regulations unless otherwise specified. Board means the planning board. MGL means Mass General Laws. You should be good with that. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Article 2. 175-5, title, authority, and appendices for size. A, these are rules and regulations for subdivision control of the Townsend Planning Board. B, these rules are adopted under the authority Mass General Law C 41, 81K through 81GG. And C, those appendices identified as auxiliary are not part of these rules, but are published together with these rules for the convenience of applicants, the general public, the town, and the planning board. For editorial convenience, these are numbered consistently with these rules and regulations. I'm good with this. I'm not understanding the numerical that are written in on the sides.
Oh, these little numbers, whatever.
Yeah.
But I think those are.
These have
actually
something to do with these footnotes with the 04 or 00. 'Cause these are all like
I think those are from when the code had a different numbering system.
systems.
They're pretty.
Yeah, because they're former sections numbering,
Mhm.
and they say they're now deleted from the code.
Yeah.
But these,
Maybe these are
Little
just to know to
thingies.
show what they used to be. Maybe under the old system, those were the numbering codes.
That's what I. think.
oh, that's,
So,
you're right, Carol.
reference.
I think
So-
these are, what's happened is they made these subsections under Article
Yeah.
1.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so we've gone through 145.5. Now the purpose, 175-6 purpose. These regulations are adopted for all purposes provided for in the subdivision control law, including but not limited to protecting the safety, convenience, and welfare of the town of Townsend and its inhabitants. Are we good with that? B, the convenience and welfare of the town shall include the goals of the most recent update of the Townsend Master Plan, the Open Space and Recreation Plan, the Townsend Economic Plan, and all such other planning documents produced by the town, including documents derived from the above. Furthermore, to the extent that intermediate goals have been identified during any plan update process, whether by the planning board, the master plan committee, or other such committee, and a copy of such goals filed with the town clerk with such goals may also be applied. And I can attest to B. I can attest to the entire B.
That reminds me, if I may, that the master plan will need to be recorded with the town clerk. Now that it's
was.
finalized, no, the finalized, the new one. The one that you just approved.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it has to be on file with the town clerk. It hasn't been, not yet,
Oh,
but that's part of the process, the town clerk and then the state.
yeah, I
So we're looking
understand
at-
that. I thought that once we had it accepted and announced with vigor that we now had a master plan, that was at the June meeting.
Right,
No, that was the last meeting, July 18th.
yes.
It was at the last
Oh,
meeting.
yeah,
That's
It was-
okay.
I forget.
So it actually.
It was so overshadowed.
So, once that official plan is like posted now on the town site,
Right, so it
Yeah.
has to be pulled together and then the final document gets approved by the town clerk. And we're still trying to find out how to, or who to send it to at the state level so that they can have a copy on file. That's how it.
Doesn't that go to the Attorney General's office?
No,
Doesn't
you know,
it
that's
say-
something we're trying
I
to
think
figure
it
out.
does.
Eric is
Yeah.
looking into that.
well,
Ask
actually,
Karen.
Karen,
Karen.
Okay.
She knows who to go to.
All right, well, that's Karen.
and I was
Thank you.
gonna say, well, you could pull
I'm pretty
off
sure it's
the,
Attorney General's office.
the template off the, because I had once pulled the template off the mass site for the master plan.
Yeah.
It
Oh,
should, I
And
would
two
think,
thousand and five is there.
You would
I-
think that would be,
I think it's, I thought I had it, but
I would have thought it would
Um,
be the housing, the DHCD, like the housing.
but
protection
it
plan.
should say. who
No.
to-
Okay. All right, well,
No, I think the master plan goes to the attorney,
AG's
Wrong.
office, yeah.
I think it's the attorney.
They
General's
check it
office.
out
Thank you.
for
We've been-
any
we've been-
constitutional issues.
I,
or-
okay,
thank you.
I didn't know that. So
Mhm.
do you want a motion, a direction from us to make sure that this gets done?
If you would like to do that, but that's the next step. It will be reported with the town clerk.
Yeah.
First, it has to be finalized. And I believe you guys probably should have a signature page. Would be my guess, like you do with the decision. It would probably be more official. Again, this hasn't been done since 2001.
I would think so,
I
because,
would think so.
and only because in my job as a,
I think
working
I
for the
like it.
Air Force, when I was an IG inspector, if the document wasn't signed, you didn't have a document.
Yes.
I
okay.
am pretty sure that
Signature page.
if you look at our last plan, it's signed. And if you look at our last plan, it must say that it went, what date it went to the town clerk
Okay,
and where it went after that.
okay, so what I'll do is create.
So there must be a signature page.
Maybe there's a template or something, but I can make one up or, you know,
Okay.
like, okay, town clerk and then the state. No, I don't.
But yeah,
Yeah, let's
State
get that
legislature.
going. C, the securing of adequate provision for water, as mentioned in the subdivision control law, includes both quantity and quality of water, both long and short term, and both water supplied to any subdivision as well as impact of any subdivision on public water supply. This is, we do this all the time. And this was part of our master plan. And there's been a lot of discussion lately from the water department and between the water department and the board of selectmen. So we're good with that. 175-7 amendments. These rules may be amended only through the procedures required by Mass General Law, C-41 and 81Q, and any applicable provisions of the Townsend Charter or general bylaws. This page has a 2003 date on it.
Okay. So I know the code book is updated if you want to read from the code book. This one. You know what I mean? So there's no doubt that this one is, if you want to read from the book.
So my book is not updated, is that
Well,
what you're saying?
it is, but I would trust this one as the most recent update, you know what I mean? This
Okay,
is
so
always-
far,
This is
I
the
was,
town clerk update, if you will.
okay,
It always has to have, pages removed and pages added, like it is the
Yeah,
Bible.
yeah.
Of the town.
I
Okay.
can't remember doing that. Fiscal law.
It's like you have to.
well, this one says 2003 as well.
Yes, so that's the last time that was supplemented. And it's all documented.
All right. Townsend Code. Under 175-7. B. The auxiliary appendicitis may be amended through a simple majority vote at any properly posted meeting of the planning board. That's a lot of authority. If you think about it. Okay. What I actually like about this is that this is going to be on YouTube and we're going to do a bit of this at every meeting. And this means the public can hear exactly what the guidelines are for us and what we do. 175-8 definitions. Unless otherwise indicated by context, the following terms shall have the indicated definitions. 53G account, which we do here often from that. An account set up by the town treasurer in accordance with the provisions of Mass General Law, C-44, 53G, for the purpose of administrating consulting fees collected according to these rules and regulations. As used in these rules and regulations, the term 53G account will normally refer to those amounts attributable to a specific project. And that would be that $10,000 consulting fee?
Yes. And that could be a variety of different
Could it be,
consultants,
okay, and
specialist engineers.
would that be where the peer review funds would go?
Yeah.
Okay,
It could be
so
dropped
there you
down,
go, okay?
dropped down.
Okay.
A&R, approval not required. Approval not required. The process described in Mass General Law C-41 and 81P by which a plan may be recorded after determination by a planning board that approval under the subdivision control law is not required. We do get a number of those. Buffer zone. When not otherwise qualified, any required buffer around wetlands, perennial streams, wellhead zones, etc. is a buffer zone. High groundwater. Any area within the aquifer protection or wellhead protection overlay districts where the groundwater is closer than 7 feet to the surface, or any other area where the groundwater is closer than 4 feet to the surface. Highway Department includes his designee.
Sorry. I have a text from.
Eric?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can take them at any time, right? And we can go to that. section
Yeah.
and-
So at this point, we're at almost 8 o'clock. Are we good with stopping at the? Do we understand that the highway department may have a designee?
Mhm.
And so another superintendent may have a designee, and that be who may address the planning board?
Mhm.
Okay. Large, I'm just gonna finish this one page. Larger scale refers to a map scale that is larger than some other map scale. For example, in a scale of 1 inch equals 40 feet is a larger scale than a scale of 1 inch equals 100 feet, which would be 1. And this is a portion that sometimes we get asked to waive if they're trying to get something on one map and it doesn't come out to be that 40 feet. you'll hear that they want if
Waiver.
if it makes sense, okay? And it is a waiver that we have given in the past. Lot, a property that conforms to the Townsend zoning bylaws requirements for a structure or use or is purported, alleged, intended, or proposed to conform. The use of this term by the planning board shall not in and of itself imply any finding, determination, or agreement by the planning board that the property actually does conform. Main body of the rules. Rules to these rules and regulations for subdivision control, excluding the appendices. We use this term to help clarify cross-reference. It does not imply any legal distinction between the main body of the rules and those appendices that are part of the rules. Map scale. The ratio of distance on a map to the corresponding distance on land. For example, if 1 inch represents 40 feet, then the map scale is 1 inch colon 4 or 1/40. Non-residential subdivision, a subdivision or any portion of which is not in a residential zoning district. And OSMD, open space multifamily development as defined by the applicable provisions of the Townsend zoning bylaw. And is everyone okay with ending our work session there?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, guys. I'm going to continue now with my agenda. Okay. I am now going to entertain a motion to adjourn the open session meeting. Oh, boy. Mike, is your hand up?
Yeah, so I was just gonna say for this little progression right here at the end, make sure you take the vote to end the meeting before you go to the executive session, but the ending the
Yeah.
meeting happened immediately at the end. Okay, good. It's a tricky process and I'm still learning it, so.
The end of the meeting.
So you can take a vote to say we're gonna adjourn the open meeting at the following immediately at the end of the executive session, because otherwise you have to come back.
We're
and
not coming
reopen
back.
the meeting. Yeah, let's just
I
simplify.
was gonna state we're not coming back.
Yeah, but you still need to, just the way you normally do, have to take a vote to adjourn a meeting. So just do that before you get out of here. So save you from coming back.
But I read this when we go into it.
You would say, again,
Or now,
we're going to move
to adjourn the meeting.
to adjourn the open session and move to executive session.
For this purpose?
For this purpose.
So I read this now.
Not to return, yeah, and at the end, not to return to open session, but
Yeah.
to adjourn after.
Okay.
And vote.
After I read 4, right, on the agenda, I'm gonna call for a motion to adjourn the general session and go into executive session, but not to return after executive session. 4, executive session. Executive session pursuant to General Law 30A S21 A3 to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body and the chair so declares. Do I read what it is?
In parentheses?
Yeah.
You can.
Okay. Reference Lorden Revocable Trust, Michael Lorden trustee. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a roll call vote. Ian,
Yes.
Michael,
Mike Brusco, yes.
Robert, yes.
And Carol Hoff says yes.
Laura Schifrin, yes. The meeting is adjourned and will not be returning
The open session.
to open session. We're adjourned at 7:56 PM.